Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we are very pleased you have joined us for our second day of our Metals and Mining Conference. Our next live presentation is from DynaResource. DynaResource is a gold exploration and mining company focused on the acquisition, development, and operation of precious metal projects in Mexico. Please note, you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view the company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I am very pleased to welcome Rowan Hazelton, President and Chief Executive Officer of DynaResource, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol DYNR. Welcome, Rowan.
Great, thank you, Greg, and thank you, OTC Markets, for hosting this presentation and conference. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you everyone for joining and taking the time to hear about DynaResource. First off, we will be making some forward-looking statements, and I caution you to read those at your leisure. DynaResource, as Greg mentioned, we are a gold producer in Mexico, producing from the 100% owned San Jose de Gracia mine. We are in production, profitable, and growing. We expect to produce 30,000 ounces of gold in 2025. At approximately $2,000 per ounce all-in sustaining cost. We have been in production for almost 10 years, and the property has exciting and exceptional exploration potential with really the right characteristics to make it a multi-million ounce producer and growing to a plus 50,000 ounce producer. This right now is an excellent time for new investors to look at Dyna as we are growing from what essentially has more or less been operated in terms of a private company in terms of structure. And I was brought into Dyna last year in order to optimize the operations and grow production and grow the company. We are looking to IPO or really uplist on a major North American exchange later this year. We have only a 30 million market cap today and growing margins. There's significant upside to our share price, our production, and certainly to ounces in the ground. And I joined this company precisely for this upside. By way of a bit of background, I was a founding member of Goldcorp and Silver Wheaton, and I've spent my entire mining career in growth-oriented, successful mining companies. I'm excited to be part of this company and team, and we've been putting together a growing and new management team in order to take Dyna to the next level. Just further information on here on this introduction slide. San Jose de Gracia mine is located in western Mexico. It's about 230 miles or just under 400 kilometers from Mazatlan, and is a historic mining district. In fact, over 100 years ago, between say approximately 1890 and 1910, we estimate that almost 1 million ounces of gold was produced at bonanza grades of 1 to 2 ounces a ton or 30 to 60 grams per ton. And then what's exceptional about this property is it really was not mined commercially, virtually for the next 100 years. There was a little bit of local commercial mining in the 50s or 60s, and there's been artisanal mining in the area, and really has not been operated on a commercial scale until DynaResource started to acquire the concessions in 1999 and for the next several years, and then spent a number of years exploring and put it into production, as I mentioned, just under 10 years ago, growing from what was a 100 ton per day initially operation to over 800 tons per day underground operation today. We have a historical resource estimate from 12 years ago. You can find on our website that estimates 1.1 million ounces, including an estimate for underground and potential open pit or bulk tonnage operations. We are fully permitted and again in operation. So why DynaResource and why today? We have the property as you can hear from the prior bonanza grades. We have significant exploration potential today, mining at about a resource of approximately say 5 grams a ton. With significant potential to grow the deposit in virtually all directions, and really a long-term potential of a multi-million ounce deposit, and certainly strong visibility to a million plus ounces. Our target production for this year, as mentioned, is 30,000 ounces. with a target of in the near term of say 2 to 3 years of targeting 50,000 ounces through growth in recoveries, grade, and also looking at potentially a further increase in plant throughput rates. In terms of new leadership in the company, since I joined in the middle of last year, and again, I have significant experience in Latin American mining, much of that in Mexico. I lived for several years in Mexico City with Goldcorp. We have a new mine general manager, Luis Portugal, whose experience is all in underground narrow vein mining, and we used to work together at the San Dimas mine in Teotita in Mexico in Goldcorp, and his expertise brought to the company and since September has already started to show strong dividends in terms of expansion of mining and mineable inventory. In terms of some of the key catalysts for growth this year, we are in the middle of putting out preparing an updated resource estimate, and in fact also the first reserve estimate for the company. We're targeting the end of this quarter. As mentioned, our current resource estimate under 43-101 is considered historical from 2012. We're working on a SEC compliant SK 1300 as well as 43-101 compliant resource estimate for later this year. Another significant aspect of that is, by putting out reserves, we'll be able to demonstrate a little bit more clear our accounting by being able to capitalize certain things that today are expensed on the income statement. We are expanding our drill program this year, first from underground, and later in Q2 we'll be expanding and restarting a surface exploration program aimed at for the whole year of about $2.5 to $3 million, aimed at about 15,000 plus meters of drilling. We're looking to uplist, as mentioned, on a major North American exchange later this year, very possibly the Toronto Stock Exchange or other, and then continue to report on our resource success. In terms of other detail in 2025, we are investing fairly heavily in additional capital into the plant and the mine, in particular in the plant, looking at increasing our recoveries by 5 or targeting 10% increase from say the mid 70s to mid 80s by installing a gravity circuit, primarily through several new Falcon concentrators, and looking to produce gravity concentrate. Our main production is a flotation concentrate, which we ship and ship down to the Port of Manzanillo and sell to our off-taker. As mentioned, we're also growing our exploration program this year, which is aimed at roughly say half from surface and half from underground. The capex estimate of $5 or $6 million of this year will be likely to be a little weighted towards the first half of the year as we make those investments into the plant and as far into the underground in terms of certain key pieces of new additional underground equipment, and primarily aimed at increasing our development rates underground. Here, just a quick overview of our production for last year in terms of tons and grade and ounces, and some improvement in grades as we approach in the last half of last year. And you can peruse those numbers at your leisure. I mean, what's important here on this next slide, is really San Jose de Gracias is in the right zip code or postal code. We're right in the middle of the Sierra Madres. We're in the lower part of the Sierra Madres, and again, a district that contains many operating mines today. A lot of those also underground narrow vein mine systems with significant sort of multi-million ounce potential per year in total. As again you can see, Teotita or San Dimas is one of those producing mines still today, owned now today by First Majestic, and that's where Luis Portugal had worked much of his career. We see a lot of potential in this whole region, and we have a large-scale concession area to exploit. Just quickly on terms of mineable inventory, referring it to as mineable inventory, as we don't have the current resource estimate, which we expect later this quarter, and you just get a sense of our block models and grade profile on the legend on the bottom right of grams per ton, certainly targeting over 3 and over 5 grams per ton high grade in our mining plan. Here in this slide, you can get an overview of the overall geography of the area. In the center there is our current mining district. Down at the bottom left there is our plant and office operations, as well as the small town of San Jose de Gracia, about 800 people. That strike length there of our current operating area is about just under 5 miles, and you can see some of the bright blue pickaxe and shovel represent some of the historical data from historical mining. Some of that was mined in previously in the 100 years ago, and some of those data, especially to the north area that we call La Haciendita, those are just very small adits that had some historic samples that we found of very high grade chip samples, including samples of 30 grams per ton and higher. We see significant potential, which I'll go into a little bit more detail. On the next slide, just a summary of our diamond drilling to date since taking over by DynaResource, and you can see in the early, there was, as mentioned, there was no real historical commercial mining in throughout the 20th century for the most part. It started off with a little bit of drilling and exploration by Peñoles, and then a company, Golden Hemlock, until DynaResource acquired the concessions starting in 1999. And the overall concession area is 10,000 hectares, and we have significant potential to grow that concession area even further. In this slide is a cross section of all our mining areas. There's really 3 primary mining areas: Tres Amigos there just to the left, San Pablo just off to the center, and beside that, Mochimera. Tres Amigos has been one of the most significant producers for the company in the past, especially past 4 years, and San Pablo throughout the time of production. You can see just in terms of depth of the mines, Tres Amigos goes down to about a 300-meter depth. All of these are from surface. They're all accessed by ramps and drifts. And you can see just even visually, there's certainly an indication of significant potential below where we're at today in terms of San Pablo. And Mochimera, we only just began to mine that in the middle of last year. Furthermore, the targets, if you look at target numbers 1, say 2, and 5 and 6 in between San Pablo and Tres Amigos, you can see there's a little bit of drill information in the faint lines there of the drill holes, but there's significant room for additional drill information there. And as you look to the north, which is off to the left towards Haciendita, there hasn't been any historical drilling at all by DynaResource, and we view that as one of our most exciting targets for the long-term growth of the company. And a lot of our growth here in the short term in the underground exploration that we've been doing has been looking at mine extensions from what we already mine. And in particular, for example, I mean, Luis and the team have been very successful in reinterpreting the ore bodies, especially through structural geology and looking beyond faulting that exists. And so, for example, here down in San Pablo 500 level, in late last year or early in Q4, the team had some interpretations about where the veins were going, broke through an area that we previously hadn't considered part of the mine plan, and found samples of rock at 80 grams per ton. And that's been a significant producer for us during the past quarter and more. Just a quick summary of our capital structure. We have a very tight and low capital structure with just under 30 million shares outstanding basic and 38 million on a fully diluted basis. It's 100% owned by retail or individuals and there are at the current time there aren't any institutional shareholders, which we're out now looking to increase our shareholder base in both retail and institutional. In terms of the share capital structure, it also includes a few series of preferred shares that were issued in the past to some of our core shareholders. It's a very tight shareholder base, as mentioned, where there are two individuals or organized groups, a family office that own approximately 50% on a fully diluted basis, and approximately 15 that own 70% of the company. So we're poised, now with a very tight shareholder base to be able to, look to expand the company, expand the capital base as we look to grow on additional exchanges from the in addition to the OTC, which has been, thanks again for hosting us, have been very good to the company, and looking to expand that in beyond the borders. Just on a valuation basis, at about 30,000 ounces a year and 30 million market cap, of course, we're valued at about $1,000 per ounce on a production basis. These are the numbers we have. There are other ways to look at value, of course, but given that we don't have a current resource estimate, these are the most readily available figures. And as you can see, at least from this metric on an EV to production basis, there's significant value growth potential for a re-rating for DynaResource and on any other metrics that you might look at. Finally, as far as the current management team and board, just to mention we've been growing this team since joining in the middle of last year. Alonso Sotomayor, previously with Cerrado Gold. Dave Keogh has joined as interim COO with significant experience in Latin America. We used to work together at Goldcorp as well, and he's the former CEO of Gammon, Crocodile, and Gold Rock, and other roles. As mentioned, Luis Portugal has also been building the team at the mine, and we have a number of key directors in industry directors, as you can see there, including Katie, the founder of DynaResource. That sort of concludes my official remarks. I know we're getting a number of questions here, so I may just turn here to questions from the audience, and thank you very much. So I guess looking at one of the first questions is, what is the company's margin expectation if gold price goes down to 2,500? As mentioned, our all-in sustaining cost is around $2,000 an ounce, and so with at $2,500 gold, that still implies a $500 per ounce margin at say 30,000 ounces, call that 15 million. And again, just doing math on that, or higher gold prices, one can see there's significant leverage here at DynaResource to the gold price upside, and we have some protection here on the downside. And in particular, we're also looking to reduce our all-in sustaining costs through both cost improvements and optimizations, which we're continuing to do. And also as we look to improve recoveries and grade. So in all areas, looking to drive that all-in sustaining cost down. Our cash operating cost as a subset of all-in sustaining cost is probably in the $1,500 or $1,600 per ounce range. Question about raising capital in 2025. As we look to we are financed for now in our plans for this year in terms of capital and our exploration plans. But as we look to a potential uplist later this year, we are looking to do an equity raise, likely, depending on the conditions at the time and depending on our needs. The use of proceeds for that would first and foremost be accelerating our exploration program, again at 30,000 or $3 million a year. Currently, we could easily likely double that with the overall concession that we have. And there's certainly good availability of drill rigs in Mexico at the moment. So we would look to potentially do a multi-million raise along with an uplist later this year. Just a question about our cash position. Cash is just over $4 million in cash, and we are positive on an operating cash flow basis, but as we invest into capital, we're still on a small negative burn basis per month, say call it $500,000 plus or minus. Just looking to see if there's any further questions. As I wait for any further questions, I might just turn to a couple slides in the appendix. One is just the first slide in terms of historical production. Again, I know the story is new to many people, and again, production started on a commercial basis in 2016. At about say 100 tons per day, and slowly increasing within a major expansion several years ago to from about 400 to 800 tons per day. Okay, I'm not sure I see any more questions there from the audience. If there aren't any more, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to join and to listen here about DynaResource. We have some exciting, please stay tuned to our news. Join on our news feed, which you can join on our website, as we intend to have significant news flow this year from our growing operations, our resource estimate, and as we look to have exploration news throughout the year and look to uplist on a major exchange later in the year. So thank you again for your time, and look forward to being in contact with you.